Padaya Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavari Ashtarishatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Nitai Guru Haribo, 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 Nitai Guru Haribo. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. O Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we are going to do the analogy 5 of the Light of the Bhagavad. So let's begin. It goes as follows. The evening in the rainy season is dark all around. There is no sight of twinkling stars on the horizon or the pleasing moon. They are covered by clouds, and the insignificant glowworm becomes prominent in the absence of the luminaries in the sky, open sky. So let's read the purport and what Prabhupada is saying. So, as there are seasonal changes within a year, so there are changing ages in the duration of the manifest cosmic world. These changing ages are called yugas or periods. As there are 3 modes of nature, there are also various ages dominated by these 3 modes. The period dominated by the mode of goodness is called Satya Yuga. The period of passion is called Treta Yuga. The period of mixed passion and ignorance is called Dwapara Yuga. And the period of darkness and ignorance, the last period, is called Kali Yuga, or the age of quarrel. The word Kali means quarrel. Kali Yuga is compared to the rainy season because many difficulties in life are experienced during this damp season. In Kali Yuga, there is a dearth of proper guidance. One may take guidance in the evening from the stars and moon, but in the rainy season, the light of guidance comes from insignificant glowworms. The real light in life is a Vedic knowledge. Bhagavad Gita affirms that the purpose of the Veda is to know the all-powerful personality of Godhead. Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivisto mata smiti jnanam apohanam cha. Vedes che cha sarve aham eva vedyo vedantikvid vedavid eva chaham. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. This is from Bhagavad Gita 15:15. But in the age of quarrel, there are quarrels even over the point of existence of God. In the godless civilization of the age of quarrel, there are countless religious societies, religious communities, and religious sects, most of them trying to banish God from religion. Glowworms want to be prominent in the absence of the sun and stars, and these small groups following various religious conceptions are like glowworms trying to be prominent before the eyes of the ignorant mass of people. There are now a number of self-made incarnations people follow without authority of the Vedic literatures, and there is regular competition between one incarnation's group and another's. The Vedic knowledge comes in a tradition from the spiritual masters to the chain of disciplic succession, and the knowledge must be acquired through this chain without deviation. In the present age of quarrel, the chain has been broken, and has been broken here and there, and thus the Veda is now interpreted by unauthorized men who have no realization. The so-called followers of the Vedas deny the existence of God, as in the darkness of a cloudy evening, the glowworm denied the existence of the moon and stars. Saner people should not be waylaid by such unscrupulous men. Bhagavad Gita is the summary of all Vedic knowledge because it is spoken by the same personality of Godhead who imparted the Vedic knowledge into the heart of Brahma, the first created being in the universe. Srimad Bhagavatam was especially spoken for the guidance of the people of this age, which is darkened by the cloud of ignorance. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobistam Sapitam Yaina Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadam Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpade Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namosade Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchikalpatarubhescha Kripa Sindhubhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Prabhupada is making a very significant point here in the purport, in which he says the glowworm wants to be prominent in the dark, and he likens this to so-called incarnations of God who present themselves as very powerful and fool the masses of people who don't know any better. They don't know who God is, and so they just are befooled by these incarnations. Like in the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, there was a prominent incarnation, so-called incarnation of God, and he had a little mystic powers that was concealed in his hair. Well, all of these people who have mystic powers, they have long hair or big hair, so they can hide their mystic power in their hair. So in this way, he tried to kill Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was magistrate of the time, and he got him into jail, right? And he tried to destroy his family, but he did not succeed. And recently we heard the story from His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, who says that one of the police officers got on him, and they cut off they pinned him down and they cut off his hair. So in this way, he lost all his power, and in time, he left his body as well. So I just want to go to Bhagavad Gita and read from there about the duration of life, basically, right? The topic is entitled The Seasonal Changes, right? So we see from this puppet how fantastically long Brahma's life is, in the purport of this 1817. So we'll just read the purport and we'll read the verse now, and we'll try to say something on that. So yeah, one second. Bhagavad Gita 8:17. Just bear with me, this computer is a bit slow. So the verse goes as follows. Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyad Brahmano Vidu Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam Te Aho Ratra Vidohyana. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together form the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. Right? So the purport goes below. The duration of a material universe is limited. It is manifested in cycles of kalpas. A kalpa is a day of Brahma, and one day of Brahma consists of 1,000 cycles of 4 yugas or ages. Right? So in the purport of this analogy, Prabhupada was talking about Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali, where he said that Satya Yuga is in the mode of passion, Treta is in the mode of, at least Satya Yuga is in the mode of goodness, Treta is in the mode of passion, Dwapar is the mixed modes of goodness and passion, and Kali Yuga is ignorance. So the cycle, so we'll carry on reading this purport. The cycle of Satya is characterized by virtue, wisdom, and religion, there being practically no ignorance and vice. And the yuga lasts for 1,728,000 years. In the Treta Yuga, vice is introduced, and this yuga lasts for 1,296,000 years. In the Dwapar Yuga, there is an even greater decline in virtue and religion, vice increasing, and this yuga lasts for 864,000 years. And finally, in the Kali Yuga, the yuga we are now experiencing over the past 5,000 years, there is an abundance of strife, ignorance, irreligion, and vice. True virtue bring practically non-existence, and this yuga lasts for 432,000 years. In Kali Yuga, vice increases to such a point that at the termination of the Yuga, the Supreme Lord himself appears as a Kalki avatar, vanquishes the demons, saves his devotee, and commences another Satya Yuga. Then the process is set rolling again. These 4 yugas, rotating 1,000 times, comprise one day of Brahma. And the same number comprise one night. Brahma lives for 100 of such years and then dies. These 100 years, by Earth's calculation, total to 311 trillion and 40 billion years. By these calculations, the life of Brahma seems fantastic and interminable, but from the viewpoint of eternity, it is as brief as a lightning flash. In the causal ocean, there are innumerable Brahmas rising and disappearing like bubbles in the Atlantic, or we can say in the Indian Ocean, right? Brahma and his creation are all part of the material universe, and therefore they are in constant flux. In the material universe, not even Brahma is free from the process of birth, old age, disease, and death. Brahma, however, is directly engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord in the management of this universe. Therefore, he at once attains liberation. Elevated sannyasis are promoted to Brahma's particular planet, Brahma Loka, which is the highest planet in the material universe and which survives all the heavenly planets in the upper strata of the planetary system. But in due course, Brahma and all the inhabitants of Brahmaloka are subject to death according to the law of material nature. So yeah, I was just saying that Brahma's duration of life is very, very long, right? 311 trillion, 40 billion years. So that's basically like inconceivable to us, right? And 1,000 cycles of, Prabhupada is saying here, the 1,000 cycles of Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali makes up one day of Brahma, and such are his nights as well. So we can just imagine how long the Brahma lives for, right? His duration of life is so long that it's basically inconceivable to us. So basically, it's no use for us lingering in this material world. We should try to get out of here as soon as possible. Because what's the point of going up and down? You know, with the higher planets, the life in the higher planets are heavenly, right? And one wants to enjoy, you know, we want to enjoy our lives, right? And that's why we come to this material world. But we want to enjoy our lives separately from Krishna. So therefore, Krishna created this material world. It's like a prison house, and he's put us here. So go and enjoy, you know. And then if we go down to the heaven, to the lower planets, those are the hellish planets. Or we come back to this middle planetary system, and we get the best of both, right? We get heaven and hell, both in this world. So what is the use? You know, it's we're going up and down, and basically we're not going anywhere. We're still stuck in this material world. We should try to go back to that spiritual realm. That's our eternal home, free from illusory representation of this material cosmos. So, you know, but we still want to enjoy in this world. We should actually try to enjoy with Krishna rather than without Krishna. And, you know, we should not want to remain in this material world. So, like this in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna has come to claim us from, you know, come to claim us by coming here himself 5,000 years ago as Krishna himself. Then he sends down through the disciplic succession in this age of Kali, he sends down the Srimad Bhagavatam. By constant hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, our hearts are cleansed and we can enter into the spiritual world, right? So there's a nice verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 126, chapter 1, verse 2, canto 1, chapter 2, verse 6. So for those of us who are doing the Bhakti Vaibhav, we are meant to learn this verse. Savai pumsham parodharmo yato bhakti radhokshaja ahai chike apratiyata yat atma suprasidati. The supreme occupation or dharma of all humanity is that by which man can attain loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So we also go, so I just read that verse to you, but now I want to go through the purport of this beautiful verse, which we also meant to learn, 1:343. Krishna Swadharma Pagate Dharma Jnana Divisaha Kalo Nasadrisham Esha Purnako Dunaditaha. So the translation is, the Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun and has arisen just after the departure of the Lord to his own abode. People who have lost their vision due to dense darkness of ignorance in this age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. So let's just go and see the purport there and read the purport and see what Krishna is trying to tell us there. So as I was saying, instead of lingering in this material world, we should try to get out. And Krishna is giving us so many nice instructions in this Srimad Bhagavatam, right, which he has left behind after he went to the spiritual world after Dwapara Yuga. He was here in Dwapara Yuga, and when Krishna left Dwapara Yuga at the end of Kali Yuga, at the end of Dwapara Yuga, so Kali Yuga was supposed to begin at that time, he left the Srimad Bhagavatam for us. So let's read the purport, and I'll try to explain to the best of my ability right? And my realizations uh, are on this purport. Lord Shri Krishna has his eternal dham or abode where he eternally enjoys himself with his eternal associates and paraphernalia. And his eternal abode is a manifestation of his internal energy, whereas the material world is a manifestation of his external energy. When he descends to the material world, he displays himself with all paraphernalia in his internal potency, which is called Atma Maya. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he descends by his own potency, Atma Maya, his form, name, fame, paraphernalia, abode, etc., are not therefore creations of matter. He descends to reclaim the fallen souls, to re-establish codes of religion which are directly enacted by him. So I just want to comment as I'm going along. I just want to comment. And we see that here Krishna is saying that he descends with his eternal abode. So when he descends to this material world, he basically had his pastimes in Vrindavan. So Vrindavan is his eternal abode. It's a replica of the Vrindavan, Golok Vrindavan in the spiritual world, right? And he came with his associates, the gopis, Mother Yashoda, all the residents of Vrindavan. He came with them, right? He brought them down with him to enact his beautiful pastimes, right? Or insurpassable pastimes, because we don't hear of pastimes like those enacted by Krishna. So, so he comes with his abode. So therefore, Vrindavan, Bhumi Vrindavan in this material world is non-different from that of the spiritual world. It's basically one and the same. So when we go there, we can get spiritually recharged, before we come back to our places of residence in this material world, whether it be South Africa, Mauritius, wherever we are, right? America, like that. So that Vrindavan is not different from the Vrindavan in the spiritual world. So let's continue reading. Except for God, no one can establish the principles of religion. Either he or a suitable person empowered by him can dictate the codes of religion. Real religion means to know God, or our relation with him, and our duties in relation with him, to know ultimately our destination after leaving this material body. So Krishna, he sometimes sends his representatives, like Lord Jesus Christ, or Muhammad, right? Or he himself comes, or his empowered personalities like Srila Prabhupada, like that, to reclaim the fallen souls of this Kali Yuga. So according to time, place, and circumstance, the Lord sends a suitable representative to reclaim the fallen souls back to him. So so like this, we should take advantage of the words of the Bhagavatam. So in this Kali Yuga, the Lord appeared as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he has come to show us how to be a devotee of Krishna. And he's also left the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? This Bhagavat Purana for us, right? So that we can follow the instructions of the Bhagavat Purana and how to go back to Krishna and not be entangled in. So continue reading. The conditioned souls who are entrapped by the material energy hardly know all these principles of life. Most of them are like animals engaged in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. They are mostly engaged in sense enjoyment under the pretension of religiosity, knowledge, or salvation. They are still more blind in the present age of quarrel or Kali Yuga. In the Kali Yuga, the population is just a royal addition of animals. So these are strong words that Prabhupada is using here, because he says that everyone in this material world is here for enjoyment, but the real enjoyment is in the spiritual world. So because we have defaulted in the spiritual world, we have come here to enjoy our senses, right? But we don't get the real enjoyment. It's just paltry. It's like no use, right? And we think this is the ultimate enjoyment, but it's not, right? So Prophet says here that most of the people are like animals that are engaged in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. They are mostly engaged in sense enjoyment under the pretension of religiosity, knowledge, or salvation. So what we think is religion is not actually religion, because it's religion just for enjoying our senses. We want more amenities from God to enjoy our senses. So this is not real religion, right? So so let's continue reading. So here Prabhupada says they are mostly engaged in the sense enjoyment under the pretension of religiosity, knowledge, and salvation. They are still more blind in the present age of quarrel or Kali Yuga. In the Kali Yuga, the population is just a royal addition of animals. So animals do the same thing that we do, right? Eat, sleep, mate, and defend, right? But the human being has one propensity that the animal doesn't have, and that is intelligence. So let's read on. They have nothing to do with spiritual knowledge or godly religious life. They are so blind that they cannot see anything beyond the jurisdiction of the subtle mind, intelligence, or ego. But they are very much proud of their advancement in knowledge, science, and material prosperity. They can risk their lives to become dogs or hog just after leaving the present body, for they have completely lost sight of the ultimate aim of life. So yes, we have, or most people in this world have lost sight of the real aim of life, and they act as dogs and hogs. What does a dog do? It's basically just eat any scraps from here and there, right? Especially a stray dog. So in this world, we have people who are like stray dogs, and they eat anything. They don't have any knowledge about what food they should eat in order to live a better life, a longer life, right? They don't have a knowledge of sattvic foods. So in this way, they have lost sight of this. And and hogs as well. The hogs eat stool, right? And it thinks it's enjoying in this material world, but it's not. Like there's an example of Indra. Once Indra, he came down as a hog. He did some default in the heavenly planets, and he came down as a hog in this material world, and he was busy enjoying his life, right? No worry, no sorry, just wobbling while wallowing in the filth, right? In the dirt, and eating stew, and very much liking it as well, and he had his family there, his wife, and he had his little piglets, and he was merrily enjoying himself, ignorant of everything, you know. And then Krishna came and told him, hey, Indra, you need to go back to the heavenly planet, because we don't have a king, so you need to go back. So Indra said, no, like why should I go back? I have my wife, I have my family, and I'm enjoying in this world. Why should I go back? I don't want to go back. I eat stool and it's so tasty, and why should I go back to the heavenly kingdom? And so like this, because we are conditioned to enjoy in this material world all the basically the unimaginable things in this world, that we think we are enjoying this world, that, but if we compare this to the spiritual realm, then we see that it is so insignificant, right? So let's continue reading. The personality of Godhead Shri Krishna appeared before us just a little prior to the beginning of Kali Yuga, and he returned to his eternal home practically at the commencement of Kali Yuga. Right, so we described how Krishna was here in Dwapara Yuga, and he enacted such wonderful pastimes, right? And before he left, or before he left, just before Kali Yuga can begin. While he was present, he exhibited everything by his different activities. He spoke Bhagavad Gita specifically and eradicated all pretentious principles of religiosity. And prior to his departure from this material world, he empowered Srila Vyasadeva through Narad to compile the messages of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And thus both the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam are like torch bearers for the blind people of this age. So here Prabhupada uses the word blind people. We are all blind. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. Om Jnana Timirandhasya. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. So yes, so Srila Prabhupada basically opened all of our eyes with the torchlight of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we owe everything to Srila Prabhupada and his followers, who are trying doing their best to take us out of this material entanglement in this material world, from this material world. So in this way, the Srimad Bhagavatam is the real torchlight of knowledge, right? In other words, if men in this age of Kali want to see the real light of life, they must take to these two books only, and their aim of life will be fulfilled. Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary study of Bhagavatam, and Srimad Bhagavatam is summum bonum of life, Lord Shri Krishna personified. We must therefore accept Srimad Bhagavatam as the direct representation of Lord Krishna. One who can see Srimad Bhagavatam can see also Lord Shri Krishna in person. They are identical. So devotees, we cannot stress much, or basically we can stress how important this material, this Srimad Bhagavatam is for people like us living in this Kali Yuga, who are immersed in Kali Yuga, and how to get out of this total mess that we are in now, we find ourselves in. So yeah, with this I'd like to end here, but if anyone likes to throw some light on this topic, you're most welcome to do so. Or if you have any questions as well, yeah, you can ask now. So that verse again from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.43, Krishna Swadhamak Bhagate Dharma Gyan Dibi Saha Kalo Nasa Disham Esha Purnako Dina Ditaha. This Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun and has arisen just after the departure of the Lord to his own abode. People who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in this age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. Now, why we spoke about this verse was because of the analogy that Prabhupada gave in the light of the Bhagavad, where he says that, okay, I'll read the analogy to you. The evening In the rainy season is dark all around. There is no sight of twinkling stars on the horizon or the pleasing moon. They are covered by clouds, and the insignificant glowworms become prominent in the absence of the luminaries in the sky. So we spoke about the glowworms being the people who think themselves religious or the false incarnations of God who claim to be God, right? But really, they are just empowered by mystic yoga, and they think that they're God, and they fool the general public as well. Okay, so any thoughts about on that? It's a very interesting subject matter. So let's hear it from you, Charmaine. What would you say?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Um, Hare Krishna. Yeah, we're talking about like bogus spiritual masters, you know, and I don't mean to be offensive, but or to pick on, the personality, but somehow it just reminded me of Satguru, like the way he speaks like about the body and everything on a material platform, and he doesn't speak, above that. Our main goal is to reach, go back to Godhead,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
well,
so he
just on that.
actually reminds me of the glowworm, yeah,
Mm.
compared to the light.
So, people are gurus of different things. You get many types of gurus, right?
Mm,
And we cannot condemn him because, in
yes.
one sense, he is sort of giving light on, the body, how to heal the body, how to, live properly in this world. So
Mm,
he has a purpose and a place. People, some people, who are in the mode of passion and ignorance are attracted to him. So that's very
mm,
very nice. At least he can elevate their consciousness, to come to Krishna consciousness. So
mm,
yes, but most of, I guess, his posts are basically based on the bodily platform. So the real guru is one who takes you out of the bodily platform and situate you on a transcendental platform. So that's there as well. Yes, so we get many incarnations like this, so many personalities that come and speak, on they have some type of knowledge, maybe on Ayurveda, on this, on that, many subject matters also. And they give certain tips and points on how to heal the body and like that. So yes, we may find it so irrelevant and insignificant because we are in the mode of goodness and we're situated, on the platform of bhakti yoga. So
mm,
we may find it not very relevant, and we may find it like so, it's not up to our standard, you know
sure.
and
Mm,
that is Prabhupada's standard. We may find it Prabhupada's standard, but we do get people who are in the mode of ignorance and passion, and they simply love him. Right?
mm,
And he has many, many followers also around the world.
mm,
So that's because most people are in the mode of goodness, at least on the mode of
mm,
passion and ignorance. So that is why they're attracted to him.
mm.
So yeah, so that's my take on that. But yeah.
Okay.
Denton, would you like
Mm,
to say something?
Yeah, yes, I just got a question, and maybe I didn't hear properly. But when
Mm,
Lord Indra came down because he committed an offense to a hog status, and then Krishna came down to remind him to go back but he didn't want to go back to the heavenly planets because he was happy. What did happen? Did he eventually go? He obviously eventually went back, or
Yes, he eventually went back.
okay,
Somehow or the other, Krishna took him back. Yeah.
right, okay. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
So that's our position as well in this material world. You know, we are all basically, we can compare ourselves to this because we're all coming from the spiritual world. And when the spiritual master comes down and wants to take us back home, back to God, we don't want to go. We still think that we're enjoying in this material world. A majority of the people I'm talking about in this age of Kali Yuga, they feel that they are happy and they're enjoying in this material world. Why would I want to go? You know, so they're compared to Indra, you know, who is basically satisfied with his with whatever he is allotted in this material world. He's satisfied with that, and you know, and maybe he wants to make more money and live more happily in this material world and try to enjoy. But that enjoying spirit is coming from Krishna, because we are all basically meant to please Krishna in the spiritual abode, and we have that enjoying spirit of the spiritual world within us, right? And but we're meant to enjoy with Krishna and not away from him. When we come into this material world, then we enjoy separately from Krishna. But in the spiritual world, we enjoy with Krishna. So that enjoying spirit is there. It's there, right? Therefore, you know, because we have defaulted in this spiritual world and we have come here, you know, because we wanted to enjoy separately from Krishna, we had a slight tinge of envy in our heart, enviousness of Krishna. Therefore, we are thrown into this material world, right? Maya Devi, she throws us. She has us two potencies: the throwing potency and the covering potency. So she throws us into this material world, and she covers us, right? Like with the thick blanket of the mode of ignorance, passion, and you know, to some extent, goodness. Because even the mode of goodness is not good enough. We need to get out of the mode of goodness as well and situate ourselves on the Suddha Sattva platform. So yeah, and that is why we feel that we are comfortable in this material world, you know, because, and also because of our ignorance, we are covered with ignorance. We have no information about the spiritual world and where we came from. Right? We all have an eternal relationship with Krishna. We all do. And Krishna, he's longing for us to go back to the spiritual world. He wants us to go back, but we don't want to go back. Right? And Krishna, therefore, he comes here again and again, sends his representatives and, you know, incarnates so many times just to reclaim us. But we are so stubborn, we don't want to go back. So we are in a similar situation to Indra. Indra feels himself enjoying. Yes, I'm eating stool and I'm wallowing in the dirt and I am enjoying. Now, you know, we can see it as, you know, we can see it for what it is, right? But he cannot, because he's covered over. He cannot see it, right? So that's us, the living entities. We think we're enjoying this world, but we are not.
Yes. Every step is a danger.
Yes. Padam padam yad vipadam. Every step in this material world is dangerous.
Yeah, every step in this
And we in South Africa, we can see how true this is, right? We just step out of our houses and there, you know, there's gunshots and there's this and that and accidents on the roads. And there's so much, you know, it's like, this place is like a war zone in one sense, you know. It's just a matter of time, you know, until the bullet hits us or we crash or we whatever, you know. So yeah, so we're basically living on the edge.
We're talking about animals. You know, people are now behaving worse than animals.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, so Yeah, so in order to get out this animalistic, the royal edition of animals, Prabhupada calls us. The human being is a royal edition of animals, because we're doing the same activity that the animal does, and we're not using our intelligence, because our intelligence is being controlled. It's being controlled by the media. It's being controlled by so many other forces, around us, that we cannot see. We don't stop to think, what am I doing in this world? Why am I suffering? Am I meant for suffering? Or how can I go back to where I really belong? We don't stop to question these things, and therefore we enjoy our suffering, so-called suffering. We enjoy it, and we become so accustomed to it, so conditioned, that we think this is normal, but it's not. Hmm. So now that we've come in contact with Srila Prabhupada's books and Srila Prabhupada's teachings, it is showing us where we are situated and how we can get out of this material world. When I start just the thing on myself, when I first start reading Srila Prabhupada's book, especially the Science of Self-Realization. Well, the first book I read was Krishna book, and then later on the Science of Self-Realization and Bhagavad Gita. And when I read Science of Self-Realization, I thought, oh my God, this man is an expert, whoever he is. At the time, I didn't know Srila Prabhupada so well. I said, this man is an expert, because he's just giving me all the answers that I've been looking for. He's an expert, and he just knows my heart. So, but actually, it was Krishna who sent Srila Prabhupada here to this material world to reclaim us. And we have to be like so grateful to him, because if it wasn't for Srila Prabhupada, we'd be doing the same things other people are doing that haven't come in contact with this, with Krishna consciousness. So yeah, we owe our whole lives to Srila Prabhupada. Showing us the light, how to get out of this dark, miserable material world.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Paramatma Prabhu, Kajuta Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, thank you so much for showing us the light also. Really appreciate it.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
I'm
Mataji,
just repeating Prabhupada's words.
Yeah, well, Mataji, I got a quick question. So if we chant the Maha Mantra, is that not sufficient, or do we have to know or go through Srimad Bhagavatam?
Chanting Hare Krishna is very nice, and it can take us back to Godhead. You don't need to do anything else, but to broaden our horizon, or broaden our intelligence, and also to strengthen our faith, in the holy names, in Krishna, to strengthen our faith, then we read Srimad Bhagavatam. And you will see, as you go through Srimad Bhagavatam, how your faith increases and increases and increases. And, it's like it's so magical. Srimad Bhagavatam is so magical that it can do wonders. It can extricate you from this material world. And, as I was saying, there's many stories in the Srimad Bhagavatam. There's many pastimes of Krishna as well, and which is incomparable to any other scripture in this material universe, basically. So Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Purana, is the greatest. It's the cream of all Vedic scriptures.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Kadruta Mataji. Let's hear your realizations.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for wonderful class. What I understood from the previous Bhakti Vaibhava class with Guru Maharaj and from this class is that Krishna came here to establish Dharma, our occupation. So our occupation must be performed in such a way to please Krishna. And it's not enough to make austerities or sacrifice. It's enough hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and chanting, and not only hearing to obtain knowledges. It's not enough. We must have knowledge and in the same time to perform devotional services, to understand not only book Bhagavatam, but also personality of Bhagavatam, who is Krishna indeed.
Yes, sure. So Maharaj spoke about this, having book Bhagavatam and devotee Bhagavat. And from Maharaj was saying that the devotee Bhagavat, he is there personally, and he can twist your ears, when you go wrong, and bring you back on the path, right? Or Bhagavatam like that. And the book Bhagavat can show you the direction, and the devotee Bhagavat is there personally to take you by your hand and show you the path back home, back to Godhead. So both are important, the book Bhagavat and the devotee Bhagavat. But more important is the devotee Bhagavat. So that's what I gathered from Maharaj's class. So yes, thank you so much for sharing that light. Like in this verse, it says, the supreme occupation dharma for all humanity is that by which men can attain loving devotional unto the transcendental Lord, that's the supreme dharma. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So thank you for that. And there are many other verses in the Bhagavatam that's actually pointing out that how, every other activity that we do is a useless waste of time, right? Shama eva hi kevalam. It's a useless waste of time. So it's only bhakti yoga or devotional service to the Lord, that activity that can actually take you out of this material world. Every other activity or every other dharma or every other occupational duty is simply a waste of time. Right? So basically, we've been here for so many years now, and we've been wasting our time, right? Doing all sorts of nonsense activity. But until and unless we came to Krishna consciousness, then we, use our time wisely in the practice of devotional service. Hare Krishna. So we'll have a short kirtan, and then we can close. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. I'd like to thank all of you for your input. Very nice indeed. And it's very nice to have discussions on Krishna like this. So thank you thank you to all of you very much for your contribution. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhescha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.